And this is it here. Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Country Life Japan. Now this particular episode we are going to, we're getting out of town and we've gone into a light industrial district to interview a friend of mine who is a craftsman, furniture craftsman. He's lived in Japan many decades and he has his own world of craftsmanship. Anyway, let's go and have a look. This is his office over here, or his workshop I should say. Russell.
Oh, hello, Mr. Phillips.
Hello. It's been a while.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good
Welcome
to see
back.
ya. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. This is the man, Russel Jokela. How many decades have you lived in Japan?
2.5.
2.5 decades.
Yeah.
Craftsman.
Artist.
Artist. More artist than craftsman.
Probably so, yeah.
Yeah, just like me.
Right.
Anyway, he has his own world here. So this particular episode, we're going to throw the spotlight on Russell. I'm going to be asking just a few questions. So Russell, in a nutshell, what is this place?
What is this place?
What do you do here?
A workshop that I'm renting right now from an old gentleman who's retired. So I'm looking actually for my own workshop in Joetsu at present, but I'm renting this workshop. So I have my wood and my tools and my furniture in here. So I would like to show everybody what it's.
This is an important part of Country Life Japan. You cannot live like this in Tokyo.
Right,
Joetsu is all
true.
about having lots of space to do what you want to do. So
Right.
it is a dream world. You can do what you want to do here in Joetsu.
Right.
Anyway, let's have a look at some of your pieces.
Oh.
This one here, I see
Right.
you've got a little bit of a tatami seat right there.
Right.
Was that your idea?
Yeah, a lot of my work tends to be a kind of mixture. It's called in Japanese, it's wayo-setchu. But
Wayo-setchu.
It's a mixture of Western and Japanese style. So these are meant for exhibit in Japan, of course, but they're with a mixture of Western taste. And yeah, this one was made on Sado Island, actually. For example, you can see that it's a mixture of on Sado Island they do a lot of drumming, Japanese drumming. So I made with that theme of the drum. The drumsticks and the drum stand. So you can see these are put together with ropes. So
Can I try one out?
please have a seat. Try it out. Yeah. Oh, it's got a nice creaky sound.
Even the sound is good. I like
Sounds
that
like
creak.
you're on a ship or something. That one doesn't creak as much, but
Oh, they're very, very, very comfortable. This one doesn't creak. I think I like the creaking one best.
that is actually made out of Sado Atebi wood.
Akebi?
Atebi?
Atebi.
Yeah.
Atebi.
Yeah.
Kono
this is,
shiage.
this piece is going to a customer in Tokyo, actually, so please be careful with it. But it's being oil finished right now, and this is rare, actually, zebra. It's called zebra wood.
Zebra wood.
Zebra wood. And you can see from the stripes. I guess that's why it's named that way.
すごいね。
From the grain, and I think it's actually from like Africa, and not Japan, of course. So. But the customer wanted this wood, so turn it over a little bit and see the underside.
Oh, so you don't want to mark? Okay.
No, that's maybe enough. Yeah,
これね、
that's probably enough.
全然空気とかないんですよ。
Yeah, that's probably a good deal.
Oh.
That's one example of the kind of things that I do. A lot of these single board tables, I like to use the natural edges of the board. This is also a difficult thing to do, to make it look natural and not like a person.
Russell, I really like this piece. This is a wine bar.
A wine bar.
A
it
wine
is.
bar,
Yeah.
fantastic.
And even the wood itself is kind of wine colored. This is a natural red,
It is too, it's red.
red color.
And you've got a wine.
All right, a wine,
Wow.
it's a champagne bottle that was put together by a stained glass artist. So
Oh, that is stained.
But
So this crack here is actually, these have been put together from.
right. So
That's
it was
fantastic.
originally a champagne bottle. So.
It's got a bit of a spring in it.
Yeah, this branch I got from the beach.
Yeah.
Found it on the beach. It's driftwood, I guess is what you'd call it. So,
Yeah.
so ryuboku in Japanese. So,
Yuboku.
yeah, and it's covered with a natural what is it? A vine.
Vine.
A vine, yes. Searching for words here.
But this is just the right degree of smoothness and roughness. It's I like the way you've deliberately leave in these parts.
Typically, these kind of places would be cut off because it's unsightly. But I think it's beautiful. Some of them.
Exactly.
So.
It's got that wabi-sabi.
Right.
Wabi-sabi is this concept in Japanese of the beauty of decay.
Right. Nature and decay.
Of things going back to their natural state.
Right.
So Russell deliberately leaves in the decay.
This key is called, this wood is called ryogan. Ryogan? Ryogan.
Ryogan.
Or chanchin. Nanakamado is another name. Nanakamado. Yeah. Usually they don't get big, but this is a larger type, I guess, a species. So, yeah. And what's unusual about this is that the legs are at an angle. You can see both sides of the legs are at an angle, so that makes it a little unusual and dynamic, I guess. Yeah. And this lower shelf can be used for wine glasses, wine bottles, books, or whatever you want to display. So.
Did you receive an order and make this, or did you just decide one day, I want to make a wine bar?
Actually, I had the wood first. I found the wood, and it just kind of spoke to me, and it said I had an image by looking at the wood that this is what I should make. And
that happens to me when I'm walking along on a beach and I see a piece of driftwood, and I'm not even thinking about finish, but suddenly I get this idea, hey, that would make a nice base for a table.
That's what happens with natural materials. When you spend a lot of time with them, they kind of speak to you in a way, and you get these ideas and inspirations from them. And
And look at the bottom of this too, by the way. The bottom is almost is more interesting than the top.
Upside down right now.
How did he put this together? How did you get this at the exact right
angle? Right, it's like a puzzle, isn't it?
I hear you got an order for New York recently.
Right, I shipped a table to New York recently.
Really?
That's a rare thing. But
somebody that far away wanted your table.
Right, they just sent the money and asked what they wanted, and so.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So.
But I hear the.
Nowadays, the shipping is quite expensive, so that's prohibitive. But and this is one piece. It's Kayaki in Japanese. It's elm or zelkova in English.
A hardwood, very, very heavy, almost like oak.
It's very one of the most famous woods in Japan. Everybody knows Kayaki, right? So this is a rare one with a really nice wood grain. So this could be used. It does have a crack in here, unfortunately, but this could be used for like a low table. It's a beautiful piece of wood. So
fantastic. Is it Kayaki hard to get now?
It's getting more rare than in the past, but there is quite a bit around still. It depends on the seller and the piece of wood, of course. It all varies a little bit, but generally speaking, this would probably be purchased for about hachimong, like $800 or so. Right, maybe jumong, which is what, $1,000? Is that right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in the traditional Japanese house, all the beams and pillars are often Kayaki, this stuff. So imagine how much it would cost to build one today. Well, you just couldn't build one.
Right. And then here's another piece of Kayaki behind here. This is the same Japanese elm, much larger, obviously. This is meant for a dining table. It's over 2 meters long and over 1 meter wide. And this is a single board from a large tree, so it's quite valuable, quite rare. The grain itself is not so unusual. It's a very normal grain, but it's a rare size.
To be cut in one piece like this.
Right. It's a very rare quality. And this would be probably closer to double the previous one, so about $2,000, which is Niju long. So, and this is a piece of cedar here. This is just cedar, but it's a sugi in Japanese, but it has a rare wavy grain in it. This is very unusual, yes, sugi, yeah. So this is a rare wavy grain that I look forward to making into a table in the near future. And then there's a whole lot of different woods here. It's hard to see them, but there's like old wood. This is Kayaki, and there's walnut there, and this is chestnut. Chestnut is one of my favorite woods, actually, which is kuri. Kuri is chestnut, yeah. And this is a very stable, can be used for almost anything. It's strong with water. It's like waterproof and has a nice character. It has grain to it and it lasts a long time. It's a good wood for all kinds of things. So it's one of my favorites. So. And this is in Japanese it's called tamo. And tamo is a very common wood, although this grain is very unusual. So this is actually very valuable because of this figured grain. And this piece, I sold one piece, there were two of these. I sold one for, I keep trying to translate, $10,000. So like 100,000.
すごい。
This size, yeah, to a Tokyo customer.
素晴らしい。
Yeah. So this is quite valuable. So we'll take a look at the shop. This isn't actually my workshop, unfortunately. I'm just renting this right now. But because I had moved from Sado Island to Joetsu recently, I was in need of a workshop, and so I was able to find this, and it belongs to an old friend of mine, who retired. So I have use of this workshop, and it's a perfect size for one person. As you can see, it has the dust collection system, which you probably noticed before. And let's see what else. It's got good lighting with the windows, and it's a metal structure, so it's very sturdy. And I would prefer a wood workshop myself, built out of wood, but maybe one of these.
Yeah, but how deep was the snow this year?
Right, that's true.
Was it up to here?
It was actually up to the roof here. So.
It was up to there?
Well, including the fall off from the roof.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So yeah, and then let's see, it's got a wood stove here. So that's handy in the wintertime for not only for burning waste wood and sawdust and things like that, but also keeping the workshop warm. So that's helpful. Yeah, let's take a look here. This is, right now it's just full of things. Yeah, this is mostly storage right now. I'm trying to clean it up and use it for future work here. So I do archery also. This is kind of my archery mat right now. So I can show you that too at some point. Yeah, and there's some more of my woods here, if you can see smaller things. There's some valuable woods in there as well. So. I've just been doing it a long time, but it takes a little practice because if you're used to using a computer, it's much easier to type with a computer. You don't need much finger strength. You
need to push it much.
Right, but with this you need a lot of extra finger strength. So. Again, this is not my workshop yet. I'm still renting, so I haven't laid it out in the way that I would like to. But I'm using this space. It has a small kitchen here and a restroom, and I have my food shelf here and a television and working space. I like writing, and I have a desk here for writing and working on. So it's a quite simple office, but I'm hoping to fix it up more in the near future.
And then Russell is going to give us a demonstration now.
All right.
This is a planer, right?
This is a planer to get when you're using. Happens to be flat, but when wood is in its natural shape, sometimes it has curves or bends in it. This machine is to get one side flat so that you can begin to work with it, and then you can plane the other side.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I'll turn on the dust collector.
So it makes a bit of noise.
perpendicular to each other, 90-degree angles, because of this fence.
Oh, so now you've got a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, I got a nice angle and 2 flat sides, so then you can work with the other sides. Yeah. And then we can try this one on the opposite side. To get the opposite side parallel and flat with the one that we just did.
Now that's square, right?
So on the jointer, we did 2 sides, square and flat, and then now I did the opposite sides by placing those flat sides on the table. So the blade is on the top on this machine, so it made the opposite side flat and parallel with the other side.
So it's now perfectly square.
Right, supposedly.
So now now you can start
to use it for.
Yeah, because if you do it with the hand plane, by the time you've planed that and planed that and planed that, you're in a. It's not square anymore.
Well, it takes some extra work.
So. Okay.
Right. So that's an example of some of the things you can do with a machine. It makes life easier. And
so, fantastic machines. Not the sort of thing you find at your local home center.
No, they aren't.
Professional machines.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to have. So, but I do actually use a lot of hand tools, and I prefer actually using hand tools. So maybe I can show you some things with hand tools as well. So, you're like. This is my traveling tool case. I have all the basic tools in here, like the hand plane. There's a couple of hand planes in here. These are hand saws with the blades. And there's chisels and all kinds of tools that you normally use for work. So just with this case itself, I could probably almost build a house or something like that. It has the basic tools in it, so it's good to have. And I do a lot of work sometimes out of the workshop, so it's easy just to bring this with me in.
So this is a Japanese plane, and it doesn't have any knobs for adjusting the...
right.
Unlike a Stanley plane, you tap it to get the blade in and out.
In the right position. My eyes are getting bad, so it's hard to see sometimes if it's proper. Let's see here. I'll cut this end off first. Yeah, this is a hand plane in English, or kanna in Japanese.
And you generally pull it, right?
Right, the Japanese hand plane.
The Stanley plane is always like this.
Right.
But the Japanese plane is like that.
Right, you pull, as well as the hand saw too. So, yeah. I think there's a reason for that, which I can show you if you're interested.
A Japanese saw, which you...
I'm going to turn this over here.
Japanese saw with blades on both sides.
Right.
And you pull this one as well, right? It cuts when you pull it.
Right, both are for pulling, right?
Yeah.
But one is for a rip cut, which is along the grain, and the other one is a cross cut, which is across the grain.
So the rough one's for cross?
The rough one is for rip cut.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So now,
and very flexible.
This side goes this way, so it's harder to cut this way with the smaller teeth. Yeah. This looks like it might be better this way. We'll see.
Clamps.
keep this from moving. Use the hand plane just to keep the wood from moving.
Too deep. The blade's sticking out too much. He's knocking it back. Look at that.
It's still a little bit too much.
Look at that. I could use that somewhere. There. Hold up. That must be sharp. It sounds sharp.
It whistles kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the basic idea. You get these nice shavings. This is
mandible.
I have an American friend in Japan. He sells he sells wood online, but he sells also hinoki shavings like this because people want
I'd put this in a bottle with alcohol and make it into an aftershave because it's just got such a manly smell about it.
Right.
Do you think there's a demand for Japanese planes in the world, or because most Westerners just use a Stanley plane?
Well, you have to be a serious craftsman to be interested in this. I think they're quite difficult to use. This is probably the most difficult tool of all tools that I know of to use properly.
But this is like in Japan. This is the de facto standard plane. If you want a Stanley plane, it's hard to get. It's the complete opposite. You have to go to a special shop to find a Western style plane.
Right. And Western people tend to work standing up.
Yeah.
So you put the work on the table and then you push like this.
Yeah.
But in the Japanese case, from a long time ago, they sit on the floor.
Exactly.
So if you're sitting on the floor to work as a woodworker, if you use a push stroke, then the wood moves away from you.
Exactly.
So they hold the wood that you're working on with your feet, and then it's better to pull this way, and it comes toward you. So, same with sawing and things like that. So I think that's one of the reasons. So, yeah, Western people tend to stand up while they're working, and so they can use the push tools. But
so Russell, you came to Japan first when you were 32, right?
Right, 32 years old.
And you lived in Sado Island. You lived all over Japan.
Fukuoka, yes.
And but you ended up in Joetsu.
Right,
in this part of town. Well, it's part of the country.
Over 20 years in Joetsu now.
And but you're growing up in America, moving to Japan when you were 32, having a Finnish father, Japanese mother. Did this sort of actually help you in your creative?
Well, like everything
spirit?
In life, right? That's a good question. Like everything in life, it's a mixture of struggle and conflict and a lot of benefits as well. Like I have relatives in both countries, which I really adore, and lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and I get to experience both cultures, which is really wonderful. But at the same time, I feel a stress within myself sometimes of having the conflict of different ways of thinking that it can actually be a stress in your life. Sometimes it's hard to explain, but but I think the positive aspect that shows up in my work is that I have a sense for both a Western culture and the Japanese culture, which I kind of mix together in my own way.
Which you'd never have if you just grew up entirely in the United States.
Right,
and never left.
Exactly. So that's a very grateful benefit that I have.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Yeah. How can people get in contact with you?
Right. Okay. My name is Russel Jokela. With my middle name is Hiroshi, and I'm living in Japan, as you know by now. And please feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns or orders. And I love to talk about wood and about furniture and about living in Japan. And so if anybody feels like contacting me, I would like to. That would be really nice.
Yeah, particularly of interest, it might be craftswomen from Southern Hemisphere, Australia, New Zealand, because they can visit you in the summer and avoid their winter.
Right.
and vice versa.
An exchange, you mean? Like a craftsman exchange.
Craftsman exchange would be a good program to get going because there are plenty of cheap places to stay in this part of town.
Right.
But it's part of Japan. You can stay long term, you can stay a whole month very cheaply, which you cannot do in Tokyo.
Well, if people are interested, I would be interested in talking about something like that. Yeah, so thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I also do archery, and I practice in my workshop here because we have the space, and I use a Japanese tatami mat for the target. But this is a bow that I bought from the United States, and it's a nice bow for target practice. And I'll show you a shot here. That's how it goes. Would you like to give it a try? Okay.